people? It's Friday. That's not our usual night, but we're gonna get it cracking anyway. Because I know everybody was watching The Wiz. I watched it. Thought it was a nice program. No way does it compare to the original Wiz, but they did a nice production. I understand what they were trying to do with the production. Maybe they'll get a Broadway show out of it. Uh, Pierce, they just wanted to bring this to the world audience. We know back in '78 when we were kids, when we went and saw it, it was something designed for us as black youth to have some inspiration. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about who's on the hot seat next since they fired McCarthy. All focuses are on Anita Alvarez and the call for her to resign. Before we get into that, as always, we're going to advertise some businesses. The first business tonight is Rochelle Millsap. She is a Remax agent. She can help you with all your real estate needs. Her office is in Oaklawn, but I'm sure she will meet you where you need to be met. Her number is on the screen. 708-857-1500. Her cell, fax number, and email are also there. I am the owner operator of RPC Computing. RPC is your PC for repairs, upgrades, and consultations. 773-416-2955, located in Lansing, Illinois. Kevin, Character King, spoken word artist, has a CD that's available on iTunes and CD Baby. And he has a book, Character's Book of Poetry. You can get it on Amazon. This brother has a lot of good pieces. Here's a quick example.
No showing up for nothing fathers who don't bother taking hold of their sons and raising them until the job is done. I see new faces in old places. Places I grew up called home. And these faces in old places are faces not of my skin tone. Yet they come from various places, do these faces, to purchase themselves new spaces in these vacant places, which have now been renovated, upgraded, upscaled, and updated.
Ready to implode on impact. And there are many in my family like me, better than me, all is deadly. And we can
Check that brother out. His information's on the screen. For bookings, weddings, private parties, or if you have an event that you may be trying to do something with poets. I plan to do something in the near future. I just haven't been able to sit down and work things out yet, but I am going to try to do something with a few poets if I can put it together. I know I'll be reaching out to Kevin to help me with that. Also, his wife runs a daycare, King's Cubby Daycare, located 8825 South Colfax in Chicago. Accepting children 6 weeks all the way to 12 years old. You can reach her at 773-364-0491. The website has more information. The website is www.kingscubbydaycare.com. We're always happy to advertise a black business, and we want to promote more black businesses. Uh, Actually, I think it was yesterday, where our last show, and I didn't get a chance. I talked about this site, but I didn't properly promote it, so I apologize, and I want to correct that by saying This website is www.theblackmall.com. This website features a lot of black businesses. Some names you may recognize, some names you may not, but there could be something for everyone on this site. Uh, like I always say, we got to get into the habit of supporting our black businesses. If we don't support them, who's going to support them? These could be the next corporations uh, as we continue to strive to make it in this integrated society and corporate America, and notice all the unfair things that we have to go through as African Americans. You have to now be three times as smart and know five as many people to secure a position. And no position, as we know, is insecure. Is secure in this corporate world. But if at some point in life we all get together and decide, let's start building our own infrastructure. We know we tried it way in the past, and towns were destroyed, and people were killed, and wealth was taken. You don't get that in history books. You have to find that out from your old people. I encourage people to still build those black rooms, get those bookcases, fill them full of books, start reading about yourself. Then you'll start having a different type of mindset. Back to the show today. I'm calling this show Shame on Anita Alvarez. And I'm going to start it off with something. She was elected in November of 2012. And I'm going to share a quick clip with you of what was being said in 2012. It's amazing that when you look at the clip, you think they're talking about now. Check it out.
I thought the 60 Minutes piece that featured Anita Alvarez acting outrageously as an obstruction of justice in Chicago shows clearly that she needs to resign from her post and that we need real change in Chicago, which she obviously has no intention of being a part of. The 60 Minutes piece really put on display that the state's attorney and the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois are willing to cover up police torture, wrongful confessions, wrongful convictions, and keep people locked up behind bars without any relief.
That's our girl, Anita Alvarez. Just like McCarthy and Rahm Emanuel, she's guilty too. The black woman you see on the screen is Kim Fox. She is a person that may be our next candidate to step up and get our support. Right now, I'm sure everyone knows everybody's going to be vying for this office because this is a perfect political storm, and with Gutierrez and Chewy pulling their support in the Latino community, uh, her base has pretty much crumbled beneath her. Everyone is calling for her resignation. She's being defiant and saying that she will not resign. So the next election, I believe, is in February sometime, and I do believe she will try to hold out until that time where she would then be easily defeated by whoever decides to run. The case they were talking about, well, there's a couple of cases. I kind of went out to this site, and it's called the Innocent Project. And the Innocent Project is designed to go around and look at cases that may have had some type of suspicion or something wasn't right. I think in the last year, looking at the screen here, where they're saying since 1989, well, actually since 2000, there have been 263 exonerations, basically meaning innocent people that have been exonerated of a crime. The sad thing is the average time that it took for them to be exonerated was 14 years. Alvarez is upset now because 60 Minutes did a piece, and they did it in 2012, and they brought it back and they put it on TV again, just maybe a couple of days ago, and that's what got me interested in it. Uh, and it's nothing new as far as we're concerned of black people being railroaded and framed, but this story took on a different life because these were 14-year-olds, 16, 17-year-old kids that were tortured, and we know all about torture and John Burgess here in Chicago, and about 85 cases alone of torture uh, at the hands of this man. He needs to have his fat butt sitting in a jail cell for 20 years, but nope, that's not gonna happen. You don't get punished for doing stuff to black people. Sorry. Wish I could appease everyone and you have this nice view of the world, but this is the No PC show. We're not going to appease you, and we're not going to listen to your bull crap about guilty people when you got the system that systematically destroys black men or tries to destroy black men from the cradle to the grave. And even when you do get caught up like Burgess, I think he's still going to collect his pension and whatever, while you had brothers that have lost 14, 15 years of their life, and they get out and they can't function in society, and there's no, oh, sorry, let's help you out with that situation going on in society. We live in a sick society, and Alvarez seems to be following along on those same things because she seems to have a habit of covering up or having tunnel vision. So she was so concentrated on doing what she thought was going to move her career ahead. I put together, this isn't the full video, but you can see the full video on YouTube. I kind of sliced and sliced this one up so I could share it with you. It's about 7 minutes long, so hopefully you got a cold glass of water or whatever you're drinking, and you can enjoy it. We're going to be back in a second.
Why would anyone confess to a crime they did not commit? It happens so often in Chicago. Defense attorneys call the city the false confession capital of the United States. Chicago has twice as many documented false confession cases as any city in the country. One reason may be the way police go about questioning suspects. And 60 Minutes has learned the Chicago Police Department is now the subject of a Justice Department investigation into its interrogation practices. Two cases we examined involved several teenage boys who were arrested and, they say, forced or tricked into confessing to violent crimes they never committed. Each spent nearly half their lives in prison. They're free now and told us their story together for the first time.
The story will continue in a moment.
We all of us got one thing in common. We did an extensive amount of time in jail for something we didn't do. And that's the bottom line.
They each were sentenced to terms that range from 15 years to life. Terrell Swift, Michael Saunders, Vincent Thames, and Harold Richardson were convicted in one rape and murder. James Harton, Robert Taylor, and Jonathan Barr in a different one. All were found guilty based solely on confessions. Jonathan, you went in as a 14-year-old boy.
Yes, sir.
What'd you come out as?
Came out as a 34-year-old man.
Yeah, we was young, little kids. I miss my mama, man. I miss my mom and daddy, man. I miss my mama. It seems like some days I can't function.
She died while you were in prison?
Yeah.
Their troubles began in 1991 when Chicago was in the midst of a violent crime wave. More than 900 homicides in 12 months. Police were under enormous pressure to solve those crimes. Terrell Swift was 17, was still in high school, had never been in serious trouble, when another teenager from his neighborhood implicated him, Vincent, Michael, and Harold in the rape and murder of a 30-year-old prostitute named Nina Glover.
Did anyone ask you, Terrell Swift, did you murder this woman?
That was the first thing they said. Whoa, raped and beat who? Nina, I don't know Nina Glover. Can I get my mother in here so I can get a lawyer? And nothing.
Terrell voluntarily turned himself in to police and was placed in an interrogation room surrounded by several detectives. The questioning, he said, lasted for over 12 hours.
How close were they? Show me physically how close were they?
Like right here, you're gonna die in jail, you're never going home.
Yelling at you?
Yelling at me.
Were you scared? Did you cry?
Absolutely. I was crying, but no one listened.
Terrell wanted to go home and says police told him if he admitted to the rape and murder, he could leave. So he signed a 21-page confession which gave specific details to how he and his co-defendants committed the crime.
Now, I gotta tell you, the first time I read it, all 21 pages, I said, that man is guilty.
Right. Everything that's in that confession was fed to us, myself and my co-defendant, by the police.
Did they force you to sign?
No.
So why'd you sign it?
I thought I was going on.
I mean, you were 17 years old, so you weren't a child.
I guess I was still a mama's boy.
Come on now, you had to know if you admitted to raping and killing a woman, you weren't going home to mama.
I had no understanding of that. None.
Terrell Swift would later recant, but it was too late. At trial, a judge believed the confession and sentenced him to 30 years.
That whole ordeal, it done something to every last one of us. And with me, it made me numb.
In the other case, Robert Taylor, Jonathan Barr, and James Harden were arrested in high school for the rape and murder of their classmate, 14-year-old Katrisa Matthews. They were taken into custody after a fellow student gave their names to police as possible suspects. Robert was 15 when he says he was taken into an interrogation room and forced to sign a confession.
Man, you being cuffed up and beat on by the police, man, them people can get you to do what they want you to do.
What did they make you do?
Made me sign it. Well, I mean, that murdered me. It killed me inside.
His co-defendant, James Harden, says he was told by police if he signed the confession, he'd be released immediately.
They had the statement already wrote up, and the man say, do you want to go home and sleep in your bed tonight? So I said, hell yeah. So that's how easy it is for a person to sign their life away. Just the thought just being taken away from your parents and say, okay, I want to go home and sleep in my bed tonight. Hell yeah, I'm finna sign that.
But James never got home that night. He and the others were tried, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison.
There's nothing worse as a prosecutor than playing a role in sending an innocent person or people to prison for many years. There's nothing worse.
Bob Milan should know. As a young prosecutor, he worked this case and would eventually rise to second in command in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Now in private practice, he says publicly for the first time, he should have examined the confessions more closely.
I never believed anybody would confess to a horrible crime they didn't commit. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe people would confess to rape and murder of a woman, just didn't believe it. But based on my experiences, I found it did happen. These young men lost a lot of good lives. I was part of it. I didn't mean it. I never would have done that intentionally, but it doesn't make it any easier.
Confess to crimes they didn't commit.
Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez disagrees. Responding to public pressure, she set up a new unit within her office to re-examine questionable prosecutions. But she defends the actions of the police in these two cases.
We have not uncovered any evidence of any misconduct by the police officers or the state's attorneys that took the statements in these cases.
Alvarez still believes the confession Terrell Swift gave in the Anita Glover case, despite the fact there was no DNA evidence linking him or the others to the crime.
Did you find any of the boys' DNA on the victim?
No, we didn't.
Did you find any of their DNA in the basement of the house?
No.
How do you explain that? The boys would say they raped a woman and there not be any DNA evidence. Doesn't it strike you as odd?
Well, we would love to have DNA on everything and every piece of evidence that we have in every crime, but it doesn't necessarily, occur.
Last year, the Innocence Project retested the one DNA sample that was recovered inside the victim, Nina Glover. It was submitted to the National DNA Database, and a match was made to Johnny Douglas, a serial rapist and convicted killer who is now deceased. But the new discovery did not change Anita Alvarez's mind.
You find out years later that, in fact, the DNA found inside the victim's body belonged to Johnny Douglas. And Johnny Douglas is a convicted serial rapist and murderer. That doesn't tell you that he most likely is the person who killed this woman?
No, it doesn't. Is he a bad guy? Absolutely he is. Absolutely. But can we prove just by someone's bad background that they committed this particular crime? It takes much more than that.
For her to just say DNA is not everything, well, what else do you have if DNA don't matter?
This was a rape and a murder. How can you say DNA is nothing?
Why would a confession trump?
How can she say DNA is nothing? As many people that they have locked up because of DNA, this woman sickens me. And as you see, as everyone comes out, everyone else is being sickened by this woman too. All these young men lost 20 years of their life. You had DNA evidence. None of their DNA was on the scene, on the woman, in the woman, but the other person's DNA was inside the woman. He was a known rapist and murderer, and still her office defended the work of prosecutors and things. And as you saw, one of the prosecutors came out and spoke out, but it still didn't change the matter. These guys lost years and years of their life, 20 years. What does that do to a person? And this is the part that kills me about society and how blind they are. They're so quick to think that, oh well, they're guilty. They went to jail. They confessed to it. But like they said, if they're beating on you, then you're a little kid, 14 to 17 years old. The amazing part about this whole case is they knew what they were doing. These boys weren't allowed attorneys, nor their parents were present while all this is going on. That doesn't strike anybody as strange. Improper procedures. It should have been tossed out just on that alone. It's fucking incredible. I bet you wouldn't see that with any white kids. It's incredible the stuff that people get away with, and it's all these upstanding people that we elect and put into these positions. So that's our responsibility. There's an election coming up in February, and I hope everybody is clearly looking at this woman and her behavior when it comes to minorities, not just blacks, Latinos, and others also, and how she's looking over the cases and still making bad calls and bad judgments. This woman doesn't deserve to be state's attorney. And just like McCarthy and Rahm Emanuel, she needs to go too. It's going to be hard to get Rahm because I figure there's a whole lot of people in this case that need to be addressed in this Laquan McDonald case. What happened to all the statements? Why haven't the statements been released from all the officers that were on the scene that day? There were 4 squad cars out there, meaning you had at least 6 to 8 officers out there. Why was all this hidden away? Why was there a rush to make a payout to save the city some money when you people knew exactly what was on this tape? So I get tired of people telling me, and when I say people, we know what people we're talking about. It's not the black folks, because we've been saying this for years, and we've been saying it's crooked and corrupt for years, and for years we've been hearing that same crap or been totally ignored. That's the best thing about cameras and things now. Everybody gets to see it. The shameful part is a man can get choked to death on camera, and the only person who winds up in jail is the person that filmed it. A man can film a cop shooting a guy running away 6 times, and he's the one in jail. At least they're going to try this cop. I don't believe in nothing until the judge actually comes and gives you a real sentence. Somebody was telling me about some other crazy case. It's so many cases of the stuff that happens to black males, and it's a big concern for us because, like I said in one of my previous shows, it's 65% of black males are in prison. We got the highest unemployment rate. That's a problem. Well, look how successful the women are being. Well, a lot of the women have decided that the integration and what they're getting out of corporate America and everything that works for them. Doesn't work for a lot of black men. It's a lot of us go to work every day and we're sickened by what we have to do to support our families. And nobody can change that feeling that's in the gut of your stomach, and that's why we're always saying ownership. That's the only thing that may give you some satisfaction. If you're out there, brother, and you're struggling, we're gonna have to find a way to do something for ourselves. I think that may be one of the reasons a lot of us die young is the stress. I recently had a friend and he had a stroke, and I believe it may be because of that's the undue stress that we're put under. And like I say, and when you have people in positions like Rahm Emanuel, McCarthy, all these other cops that didn't say anything. And let's not forget the alderman of Chicago who voted on this $5 million. And you can tell me you didn't see it or not. I think that's going to be the excuse of Rahm Emanuel. At least that's what I'm hearing. The legal counsel will say that he's not complacent in anything because he never saw the video. Don't be shocked if you hear that. As the pieces fall, he's getting more time to develop his story. Believe me, you're going to get something that's going to be very unsatisfactory at the end of this. They're also going to come out with another video next week on Ronald Johnson, which was another young man. I'm not too sure what was on in the case, but the story was that he had a gun. Like every other story, every time there's a police shooting in Chicago, Pat Camden comes on TV and he gives the same speech. What we had here, officers were in pursuit of a person with a gun. That person turned around and raised the gun toward the officers, and officers returned fire. How many times have we heard that in Chicago? It's crazy. Crazy. But society wants to demonize you and say it's your own fault. My father always told me, you don't have to be doing nothing for something to happen to you, son. Doing absolutely nothing. You don't have to be doing nothing on your job. And they may decide, hey, well, we just gonna put somebody else in that position. You ain't got bad doing nothing in the street. You just look like a suspect. You fit the description. Don't we all fit the description? Like I say, this Kim Fox person, I don't know too much about her. I did go to her Facebook page and take a look, and I guess she's trying to get support from everybody. I know she's a Chicago resident from Cabrini Green, and she did make her way through the ranks, and now she's running for uh, state's attorney. Uh, us as black people, we have to learn to, instead of having a bunch of people jump in this race, let's decide who we want to put our support behind. Because all this marching doesn't mean a pile of beans if an election comes around and you sit on your tail at home and don't go and vote. This is the perfect time to get this woman out of here. We've had enough, we've seen enough, and we know that the corruption goes deeper. So we may have to wait a couple of more years to get Rom out, but we'll get him out too. The thing is, as these marches and these things unravel and are presented to the public in a way that they can't deny it, like we said on our the last show, the narrative lie and the compelling truth. Now you can't hide it from everyone, and maybe people will stop demonizing black people and making these conjectures that oh well, blacks are this and blacks are this and blacks are this. It's easy to do that because most of the time you don't live in a black community. You don't understand the operations of a black community because you don't live in one. It's different from where they live for the most part. We did that hood versus community piece. Hopefully people go back and see that. I'm not just standing here up here talking and making stuff up. And like I tell my friends, my white Caucasian friends, if I can't be myself and I can't speak freely, and you can't accept that, then you can't be my friend. If you're not open to the truth, and this is not false truth, this is real truth. But a lot of times I find it's hard for them to even believe some of the stuff that they may have to face and hear. That's too bad for them, right? Like I say, people, it's 2016 coming up. Let's really make a difference. Let's get out and vote. Choose wisely. Don't be swayed by these candidates. Uh, I know there was a piece where Roland Martin did something about some black ministers meeting with Donald Trump. It sickens me too. We already went through this with Corey Brooks and Meeks when they sold out to Rauner, and now everybody's upset when they're making all these cuts, and there were so many people talking about people abusing the program. And I made the statement in, don't ever believe that the amount of abuse that happens on the low end ever compares to the amount of abuse that's on the top end. How they rape the system completely before you even get a chance to get a chance to rape the system. The system has been fully raped by them. And now we got this man in office cutting every social program that he can cut, daycare and otherwise. So we have to start thinking and seeing and not trusting any of these politicians really. When they come out and talk that blah blah blah. One day I got stopped by Ben Bradley and I told him, I said, Ben, you don't want to hear the truth. And you're not going to air it on TV. These people could care less about the black community and what we need. They show up when it's election time. Why don't we see you all the time? And when you do stuff, you're not doing it for this side of town. You're doing it for the north side of town or whatever constituent they be able to give you a big number of votes. You're listening to what's his name? Gutierrez, Louis Gutierrez. I'm sorry for messing up his name. You're closing down 50, 60 schools in a black community, and you open one up in the Latino community, and you call that fair. No, you're just covering your basis with your Latino constituents. Us as black people have to make demands of everyone, and I don't care if they got to go through all the aldermen and find them all or kick them all out. If that's what's got to be done, that's what's got to be done. Because you don't sign off on bull crap like that. I saw this little commercial with Kim Fox. I'm a little bit over my time. One more thing before we can get out of here. I'm hoping I got the app for my radio, is to listen to my radio app, and it used to only work on wireless, but now you can take it around wherever you want to go, and you can get on, and you can listen to the music, just like I may eventually try to get it on iHeart or something like that. But right now, or you can continue to listen to it on the web. Tonight, since we went a little over, I am going to start the Friday night mix from 8 to 11 that will be going on. You can go to the website. It's called the show dot listen to my radio.com or the show dot radiostream123.com. Or if you have a Droid or an Apple or an iPad, go out to the Play Store or the Google Store or the Apple Store or whatever. Download that Listen to My Radio app. Do a search for the show, all one word, and support us. Listen to some of this music. That some of the mixes and stuff you hear when the show is setting up. We play a variety of music. We started doing a ride home session for 2 hours from like 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We've been doing more of that. We're still doing the afternoon mixes pretty much from 11 to 1. For the next couple of weeks, we're probably just going to be doing an hour of Christmas music every afternoon. People getting into the spirit. Like I say, don't spend all your money unless you go and spend some money at theblackmall.com. Support your people. Search out the people. The next piece we're gonna do, since we got a few days to work on it, it's gonna be called and I may change the name. It's gonna be called the economic effects of integration. Been listening to a lot of pieces, and I'm gonna try to do something and bring it all together and put it together in a way that we all can digest it. And like I say, hopefully going forward, you got to change things you're doing to get different results. And you may have to change your way of thinking, and we need to change as a whole. And I don't know how that's going to happen, but hopefully one day we can change. And maybe if it's a group of us get together and change, then we can continue to grow that way. So in the words of Don Cornelius, love, peace, soul, we out of here.
The numbers say I shouldn't be here. The daughter of a teenage single mother, a child of Cabrini Green, homeless for a time in high school, and the victim of sexual assault. My name is Kim Fox. Against the odds, I graduated college, then law school, became a legal advocate for the children of abuse and neglect, a Cook County prosecutor working to protect children and victims of crime, sending abusive parents to jail, cracking down on gun violence, prosecuting violent criminals and predators who prey on kids. And I helped lead Cook County's efforts to begin reforming our criminal justice system and manage thousands of people and billions of dollars. Now I'm a wife and a mother, and I do anything to keep my family safe. From where I started, it was unlikely someone like me would become state's attorney. But that's why I'm running. Because we've treated people like statistics for too long. And our state's attorney has lost sight of the community she's sworn to serve. I'm Kim Fox. I'm running for all the kids like me who face long odds, and all the neighborhoods who feel forgotten. I'm running for justice for all.